Hi, this is Charlie with Boxing Focus. Let's talk James Kirkland, Saul Alvarez. Canelo versus Kirkland. This is a fight. This is something that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. If you can believe it, I probably looked forward to this fight more than I did the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Obviously, there was much more anticipation for the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, but I never really had huge expectations in terms of how entertaining that fight would be. This fight I expect to be an absolute barnstormer. When I saw it was made, I thought, yes, that is a cracking matchup. James Kirkland, I mean, talk about a Jekyll and Hyde character. We've got the one-man wrecking ball versus the guy that Ishida literally had to breathe on to send him down. Which James Kirkland's going to turn up? There's a lot being made about Kirkland not training with Wolf anymore. And the easy conclusion to draw, especially after the Ishida fight, is that Kirkland without Wolf is going to be a soft touch. That's the easy conclusion to draw. I don't think it's that simple. I mean, as good as Kirkland was last time out against Glenn Tapia, he was still getting hit quite a bit. As good as he was against Angulo, he had to survive a massive storm in that first round. And then we don't have that much else to judge Kirkland on. Okay, we've got the Molina fight. Molina seemed to be able to neutralise Kirkland somewhat. But, the thing about Ann Wolf is her training techniques are brutal. They're unorthodox. When you see the kind of stuff that she's doing in terms of, making guys run with her on their back or throwing medicine balls at them whilst they're doing their sit-ups and press-ups, like literally throwing the medicine balls at them. Like the maulings that they have to survive in between round sparring. Someone will jump on them and pin them on the floor, and I get why she does it. I understand it, in that as a boxer, these guys have to be prepared to go to a dark place. They've got to dig deep, and it's very difficult to prepare guys to dig really deep when you're in a tough fight. And she mentally gets them ready for almost anything. I think the problem I have with it, and the problem I think James Kirkland had with it, and I think this may have been present on more than one occasion on some of his lesser performances, is that it's not always useful to have that process to go through in training. I'm reminded of something like like Special Forces training. So I was going to say SAS, like the British Special Forces. They have some brutal trials in order to prepare guys for life in the field, for the potential threats that they may face, to toughen them up, or to prove that they're tough enough. A combination of the two. But that's in training. They don't then keep on doing that year on year, because it's not that productive. Once you know it, once you've experienced it, once you've been through it, there's certainly diminishing returns to continually doing it. In some ways, it can be harmful. The body's only designed to withstand so much punishment. You can't, unless you're smart about it, you can't just keep on toughening things up by abusing your body physically even more. And at some point, it's actually going to be detrimental. And we may have seen this in the Molina fight. I don't know. It's difficult without being a fly on the wall. And obviously, you don't know what other factors are going on in the build-up to a fight. Kirkland's talked about issues with women. I mean, could that be an issue with Ann Wolf? It happens to be a woman. But I think also he realised he was getting hit too much, and he was learning too much about boxing whilst in the ring. that he felt perhaps he could be learning in preparation, in the training for a fight, technically on the mitts while sparring, etc. So it seemed that he felt he needed a break, and he's taken a good couple of years, well, a year and a half out in order to focus on it. And we will see. We will see if he's made the right decision. If he has, Canelo is in for trouble. And Kirkland looks in good shape. And I've got to say, the Ishida fight, when he didn't have Anwolf in his corner, to me it looked like Kirkland was having outside the ring issues. It looked like he probably hadn't made weight very smartly. He probably hadn't been training that smartly. And whilst he was in shape, he wasn't in fighting shape. And had absolutely no punch resistance. When a guy has no punch resistance, usually indicates either trouble making weight or just generally not trained properly. To say that he, just because Anwolf wasn't in his corner, he's going to be knocked out by anybody. I mean, Ishida was pillow fisted. You're talking like just a handful of knockouts prior to knocking out Kirkland. It was something like 10 or 9 or 10, possibly even less. And really, there had to be something else at play in that fight. So it's just one of those. I tend to think it was an oddity, that fight, and I don't, given the build-up that Kirkland's had, given the fact that he's accepted this fight as his first fight back, and he's had so long to prepare for it, and he looks in great shape, I don't think the issues that were prevalent in the Ishida fight are going to be prevalent here. Present, sorry, not prevalent. And I expect Kirkland to perhaps not fully turn up. I mean, he's had a year and a half out. But I expect a very dangerous James Kirkland. Canelo. So what does Canelo bring that's going to be problematic for Kirkland? And don't forget, Kirkland's got a slightly underrated defense. People knock his defense because he does walk into punches. But he spends an awful lot of time on the inside or in the pocket. And you'll see him doing things. You'll see him slipping punches. You'll see him blocking punches. Moving in the right way. Although sometimes he does switch off. But, with a style like Kirkland's, he's going to get hit. It's about trying to minimise the amount that you get hit. Canelo does have the skills to hit Kirkland, and we are going to see Canelo land on Kirkland. The question will be, can Canelo basically stop Kirkland early? Can he? Will his power be enough to prevent Kirkland getting into top gear? Because once Kirkland's in top gear, that smells trouble. That spells trouble for any fighter, including Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez is not known for having the highest work rate. He's not really known as a power puncher, if I'm honest. As big and as strong as he is, and as experienced as he is, I mean, it's not like he really ever bothered Lara. It's not like he was dropping Angulo. I mean, he was teeing off on Angulo for 10 rounds before he finally got the referee to step in. Austin Trout, I mean, he managed to drop Trout with a good shot. But again, it's like a lot of the guys he's knocked out. I mean, he had 12 rounds with Mosley, and Mosley was right in front of him, and he couldn't dent Mosley. The other guys, you're talking, they're generally smaller than him. I mean, Lopez had no business being at 154. I mean, Cintron was not a big 154-pounder. Gomez was tiny. Ryan Rhodes was coming up. Matthew Hatton was tiny. I mean, these are welterweights. Bouldermere as well. So when you're talking about actual full-blooded 154-pound fighters, I mean, aside from dropping Trout and getting the stoppage against Angulo, he's not really shown great power. And against Angulo, don't forget, Angulo was just stood there just taking it. Angulo showed no defense, no head movement. Canelo could not miss, and it still took him until the 10th round to really get the referee interested in a stoppage. So I do question whether, I mean, James Kirkland's not a small 154-pound fighter. I do question whether Canelo will be able to get to Kirkland. And I do think the longer this fight goes on, really favours Kirkland. You know, I'd be looking at either an early stoppage, talking like first 3-4 rounds for Canelo, or Kirkland starts taking over and really motors after him. And I mean, Kirkland, when he's in top gear, throws 100 punches around, and he gives the guys no breathing room. You know, it's the ultimate fight or flight. And I think Canelo's going to fight. I think he's really, which is why I think it's going to be such an entertaining fight. I don't think Canelo's the kind of guy to be moving quickly on his feet. You know, he does a lot of cute things in defense. He does the Mexican roll where, you know, you kind of spin your head away from the punch as opposed to trying to block it or slip it. You know, I think those kind of things will help him versus Kirkland, but they won't stop Kirkland coming after him. It's just it just all comes down to which James Kirkland turns up. So, what's my takeaway from the fight? Who am I predicting will win it? I mean, I smell an upset. Actually, I've just got a feeling that Kirkland's up for this. I've got a feeling he's up for this. I think the issues that are made over him not training with Anwolf are. I think people are overblowing it. They're taking 1 point on a graph and drawing a line. You know, I think that Ishida fight had other factors in it. Anwolf said of this fight, you know, that Kirkland had better be up for it. What was her quote? That ginger motherfucker can fight. Something along those lines. And I agree with her, which is why I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think Kirkland's got the, you know, as long as he can take Canelo's shot, he's got the edge. Just because of the high work rate. He's going to be working harder than Trout did. He's going to be, you know, some people thought Trout won. Some people thought he won. You know, if you add an extra 20, 30 punches around on top of what Trout was doing, then he definitely won that fight. A lot of people thought Lara won. You know, it's not like Canelo's had it all of his own way. Of course, I would say Trout and Lara are perhaps better than anybody that Kirkland has been in with. So we will see. We will see what level Kirkland's on in this fight. Whether he does need Anwolf in his corner, whether that is. But I don't think he does need her in his corner. I think he needs somebody who's going to be focused on boxing and somebody that he trusts is, you know, doesn't just turn him into an animal. But we haven't really seen Kirkland's level yet, and this is the litmus test. This is whether he can mix it at the top. If he can live with that Canelo Alvarez. If he can, it's going to be a long, hard night for Alvarez. And I think I've got just got this little spidey sense telling me that Kirkland can do it and that he's going to go after Alvarez, and it's going to be a long night. I mean, I like Alvarez. Since the first time I saw him was against Ryan Rhodes. Rated him highly. I even picked him to. Did I pick him to beat Floyd Mayweather, or did I just pick him to bring the next level another level out of Floyd Mayweather? And I turned out to be wrong. And it was the biggest disappointment for me when it came to following Canelo Alvarez, because I just felt he lacked desire in the Mayweather fight. He's in against one of the greatest fighters of his generation, of all time, and he just didn't go after him. He was like 20 pounds heavier than him, possibly, and he didn't go after him. You know, he just fought Mayweather's fight. He showed he never wanted to bite down on the gum shield and forced Mayweather to fight. He let Mayweather dictate the full 12 rounds, and it was a huge disappointment. His corner were terrible, and his corner have been terrible in many fights, and it's the one reason that I don't know how they're going to get. What if Kirkland gets going? What advice Canelo's going to get from his corner? I haven't seen any decent advice in any fight so far. They're just sycophants as far as I can tell. So yeah, you know what? He was training James Kirkland. I've forgotten. See, he looked like a decent trainer. I can't remember who it was offhand, but yeah, I'm just that lack of desire that Canelo showed in that fight is the one reason that I feel that Kirkland has a good chance of beating Canelo. Because once Kirkland makes it, that kind of that hard, grueling war where there's no room to breathe, where he's stood in front of Canelo and he's throwing punch after punch, and then Canelo will be hitting Kirkland. Kirkland will be doing just enough to take the sting off the punches, and Canelo won't be shifting him. And when you've got to really dig deep, those kind of battles that Wolf has prepared him for in the past, and he now has in him, James Kirkland. Alvarez doesn't have that, and he's shown that, and he doesn't have the people in his corner to bring that out of him. So yeah, I'm gonna go that way. I think Kirkland's gonna get to him late on. Don't know if he'll stop him. He may just overwhelm him and get a close decision. But yeah, I'm going with James Kirkland. This is Charlie with Boxing Focus.